Welcome back to Football Daily, where today we are constructing our starting 11 out of players who just love the smell of cash. Goalkeeper, Wayne Shaw. We begin with a story from the FA Cup, but one that is far from magical. Sutton United's historic run to the 5th round in 2017 was a football fairy tale, but an incident during their big tie against Arsenal somewhat soured the event. The U's 46-year-old, 23-stone reserve goalkeeper Wayne Shaw caused a stir in the closing moments of the game as he started chomping on a pie, in full view of BBC cameras, much to the amusement of the fans. But what first appeared to be a bit of culinary banter soon turned out to be a full-blown scandal. As it happens, the Sun had put odds on 8-1 on their betting site for the larger-than-life keeper to eat a pie on screen, in another move of unerring class from the tabloid. In the aftermath of the game, the media unsurprisingly went into meltdown, and Shaw not only found himself sitting on a sofa with Piers Morgan the next morning, but also having to resign from Sutton in the afternoon. An FA and Gambling Commission was sanctioned shortly after. The whole situation was both utterly bizarre and perhaps a little humiliating for Shaw, but he took it all in his stride and has managed to pocket some cash from selling his story. Who knows, maybe there's even a pie commercial around the corner. Pucker up, Wayne. Defence, Benoit Asuakoto. At right back, we've picked Benoit Asuakoto, who is most definitely a money-grabbing footballer, but unlike others, the guy actually admits it. In an interview with The Guardian in 2010, the former Spurs and Cameroon fullback exclaimed that football was not his passion and that he was most definitely in it just for the cash. Far from being hated for these claims though, Asuakoto earned a certain amount of respect for his brutal honesty. The fullback went on to say, "I do my job 100%, but revealed that after training, he would visit London like a tourist, eating at restaurants and taking the tube." Fair play, Benoit. Defence, Lucas Neal. One of the biggest money-grabbing journeymen, Lucas Neal initially burst onto the scene with Millwall in 1996, before making the jump up to the Premier League in 2001 with Blackburn Rovers. Neal was a fan favourite at Ewood Park, making 188 appearances as one of the club's most consistent performers. But by the 2006-2007 season, he had made clear his desire to leave Blackburn as bigger clubs such as Chelsea and Liverpool came sniffing around. Neal had the option to go to Merseyside that January, but instead chose to go to West Ham, who were offering double what Liverpool were. Liverpool finished the season with a 3rd place and a Champions League final, whereas West Ham escaped relegation on the final day. Neal was still insistent he had joined the Hammers for footballing reasons though. We call bullshit on that, Lucas. And the Socceroo has since had spells at both the high-paying Galatasaray and in the United Arab Emirates. Defender, Winston Bullard. Winston Bullard is remembered by many English football fans, but not for anything he did on the pitch. In fact, with 11 appearances in 4 years at Chelsea, it is unlikely that anyone can even remember seeing him play. Bullard moved to Stamford Bridge from Barcelona in the summer of 2000, but when Claudio Ranieri took over that September, it was clear Bullard was not part of his plans. Following the Boxing Day fixture of that season, the Dutch centre-back made only one further appearance for the Blues until his eventual departure in 2004, but was more than happy to stay at the club and pick up a healthy £40,000 a week. The club tried to sell him on multiple occasions, but he played the negotiations game cunningly. This meant he saw out his lengthy contract, and in 4 years, Bullard made nearly £10 million and was shameless about it, later saying, "I may be one of the worst buys in the history of the Premiership, but I don't care." Defender, Ashley Cole. He may be one of the greatest left-backs to pull on the England jersey, but Ashley Cole is also remembered for some not-so-positive things in his football career. The marauding fullback became an Arsenal legend, playing a key role in the Gunners' unbeaten run to the Premier League title in 2004. But he famously fell out of favour with the Highbury faithful 2 years later, as he moved across the capital to join Jose Mourinho and a nice big pay packet at Stamford Bridge, following allegations he'd been tapped up by the club in 2005. If this wasn't heartbreaking enough for the Gooners faithful, His reaction to Arsenal's contract offer caused even more outrage. In his autobiography, Cole admitted to trembling with anger and having almost crashed his car after hearing the club's plans of a £55,000 a week deal. The former Arsenal vice-chairman David Dein surely should have known how much distress this would cause the man, later dubbed Cashley. How inconsiderate, David. Midfield, Oscar. Now here's one that really puts things into perspective. For years now, legendary and not so legendary footballers have moved to either the States or Asia in lucrative deals to see out their careers. But since the Chinese Super League's assault on Europe's footballing assets, players in the prime of their careers have chosen to take such a leap. The shining example is Oscar. Bought by Chelsea from Internacional in 2012 as one of the hottest prospects in world football, the Brazilian number 10 played a vital role in Chelsea's 2015 title win and scored a total of 38 goals in just over 200 appearances for the club. With the arrival of Antonio Conte at the bridge though, things went downhill for Oscar and he quickly became a regular on the Chelsea bench. By December, Shanghai came knocking and Chelsea received a stonking £60 million bid for the 25-year-old. Oscar, meanwhile, has quadrupled his wages at Shanghai and now earns a tidy £400,000 a week. That's more than Ronaldo and Messi. But for a player who could have had a glittering career in Europe, he may well live to regret his decision. Midfield, Jimmy Bullard. Perhaps the most lovable of our money grabbers here, Jimmy Bullard has not received anywhere near the kind of wages that some of the others in this side have. But nevertheless, English football's Joker-in-Chief came across an unexpected goldmine when he signed for Hull City in 2009. The Tigers' move for Bullard would prove to be very costly for the club. Not only did they pay a club record £5 million for him, but in 2016, the midfielder revealed that a misprint in his contract meant that instead of being paid £35,000 a week as initially agreed, he instead received £50,000 plus over £5,000 for an appearance. What a result! Bullard later said, "I'm celebrating to this day, thanking Hull for changing his life and claiming to be bleeding cash." Just as well as he reportedly lost over £600,000 in 2014 from a failed get-rich-quick scheme. Nice one, Jimmy. Midfield, Samir Nasri. Here we have another former Arsenal player who was lured away by the sound of rustling paper. In 2011, just as the North London club tearily waved goodbye to their talismanic Cesc Fabregas, Samir Nasri decided to jump ship for the big bucks of Manchester City. This left the Gunners bereft of talent in the summer where they also lost Gaël Clichy to the newly moneyed Manx, and just 4 days after Nasri's departure, Arsenal famously lost 8-2 to Manchester United, compounding a club in crisis. Nasri then added salt to the wounds of the fans, saying that his reason for joining City was because they had more passionate fans. Nothing to do with that extra 80 grand a week then, Sammy. Yep, we didn't think so. But in all fairness to the Frenchman, he did win 2 Premier Leagues at the Etihad, something he would have struggled to do had he stayed at the Emirates. Forward, Robbie Fowler. Robbie Fowler had a long and illustrious career in football and is one of the Premier League's all-time leading scorers with 162 goals. But the man named God by the Liverpool faithful also happens to own a hefty amount of properties in and around the city of his boyhood club. Not so much a desperate money fiend as a canny businessman. The lad from Toxteth went into the property market while he was still a footballer and got his wife to run the business while he did the business on the pitch. His property map now stretches from Cardiff to Scotland, and his prowess as a landlord has even led to the establishment of the Robbie Fowler Property Academy, where students pay £1,000 to learn the tricks of the trade. It is in effect run by a company based in Florida, but Fowler's name makes it a draw, and believe it or not, he's actually turned up for a few lectures. Forward, Nicolas Anelka. Another one of our favourite journeymen, Nicolas Anelka has made a fine career from engineering transfers. While vying for a move to Spanish giants Real Madrid, the Frenchman went on strike at Arsenal in 1999, earning himself the nickname Le Sulk from the fans. Madrid eventually snapped him up for £23 million, and while he flopped at the Bernabeu, it was the first big move for a player who racked up nearly £115 million worth of transfer fees across his career. This makes him, accumulatively at least, the 4th most expensive player ever. So, as well as scoring his fair share of goals, Anelka has made a pretty penny from signing on fees, and even had his whole wage paid by Nike during his time at Paris Saint-Germain. His chase for a tidy wage took him from Manchester to Turkey, to London to China and even India, to name just a few destinations. And Anelka nearly walked out of the game completely when his agent died in 2013, obviously upset at the passing of a great friend. On this evidence, he was also the perfect business partner. Forward, Neymar. The Brazilian maestro has been one of the world's top-earning footballers since his move to Barcelona from Santos in 2013, and he's repaid the club in full by forming one of the most formidable attacking trios in history with Messi and Suarez. But in 2016, the world-beating striker was found guilty of tax fraud dating as far back as 2007, when he was negotiating his senior contract with boyhood club Santos at the age of 15. Furthermore, he has also found himself mixed up with the dodgy dealings which brought him from Brazil to Barca in the first place. He's had to pay millions in fines and has been threatened with a 2-year prison sentence, although we somehow reckon he may worm his way out of that one.
Thanks for watching, guys. If you've got any suggestions, stick them in the comments below. And as ever, don't forget to like and subscribe.